Alright, so SQL interacts with your database. In fact, it's called structured query language that helps to query or ask questions or kind of get data from your database and do database manipulation. We're going to talk more about that. Python and PHP are also they are back-end programming languages that interact with your server. And all right, let's dive straight into the topic for today. All right, so for today, we are going to be discussing what websites are. Okay, so websites are made up of web pages, and okay, let me quickly all right, what is a website? All right, can you see a website is a collection of related web pages that are accessible on the internet using a web browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. So they said think of a website like a digital building. Okay, each page is like a room, like a home page, about us page, contact us page, while the website is the whole building that contains all those rooms. Example, when you visit a site like Facebook or YouTube, you are accessing a website made up of many pages. It's just very simple. It's a digital building, okay, where you have different compartments, okay, called pages. So when you go to any of those pages, you're going to see things related to those pages. What are the features of a website? How do you know that, okay, this thing is a website? Okay, remember that a website is a collection of related web pages that are accessible on the internet using a web browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. So a website must be accessible on the internet. Okay, a website can also be accessible on a local network. So websites are generally accessible on networks, whether local or wide area networks like internet, and they are interpreted by browsers. Websites are interpreted by web browsers. Okay, all right, let's go to key features of a website. A website will have a domain name. That's why you have www.google.com. That's a domain name called www.google.com. So that domain name is like an address. How to find that building? How do you when you it's just like when you have you want to visit a friend and that friend sends you a house address and you tell your Bolt driver or Uber driver about that address. The Uber driver uses that address to find or locate that building. That's the same thing that your domain name does. This can also be called your URL, Universal Resource Locator. All right. Websites has web pages, different sections of the website. Websites will have content just like text, images, videos, etc. The website has hosting. Okay, so most times websites have a place where the files are kept online for everyone to access or the selected people to access. What are the types of websites that are out there? We have personal websites like blogs, portfolios. We have business websites like Google Hub websites. We have e-commerce websites like online stores, educational websites. We have military websites, government websites. We have websites about art. We have finance or banking websites. We have like freight delivery websites, shipping websites, and in today's world, we have web applications that are AI focused. So we have websites that are AI focused that can, like, they're called generative web applications that help to maybe all this turn text into video, turn text into speech kind of websites that help you to use AI to manipulate videos, text, and create some content. All these are under your AI generative web applications. So a website, in a simple term, is a place on the internet where people can go to get information, learn, buy, or interact online. Okay, so web applications also support like payments. We'll talk more about that in our subsequent courses. All right, so let's move ahead. Let's continue with W3 schools. So, what do we need as a web developer? As a web developer, you're going to need what I call a browser. So, let's open Learn HTML. So I'm going to use the first try it yourself to do my writing. Okay, I'm going to remove this. Okay, so as a web developer, okay, you need, as a web developer, you need a browser. Well, first of all, you need a text editor. You need a browser. You need a server. All right, so these are the three things you need as a web developer. Okay, and I'm going to talk about them right now. So as a web developer, you need a text editor. Text editors are used to write codes. Okay, so the essence of a text editor is that text editors are blind to the type of code you're writing, to the type of text you're putting into it, okay, or the type of content you're bringing into it. It is oblivious of that. It doesn't want to know. It doesn't care what type of content you bring into it, as far as you specify the extension of that content. Okay, that is when it will now decide that, oh, this is a PHP file, or this is a JavaScript file, or this is a CSS HTML file. So in other words, you can write JavaScript, PHP, SQL in the same text editor. The only thing is you define the extension. There's what's called extensions, and it's going to be your first assignment for your training today. Research about, okay, what is an extension, what is a file extension, because I said that your text editors decide what type of content you are bringing in based on the file extension you use to save that particular file that you are creating. Okay, so what is a file extension? So you submit this via email. I'll make my email available for you. You're going to do this assignment and submit to me via email or WhatsApp, anyone that is most convenient for you. All right. So text editors don't care what you're writing into them, as far as you are able to define what extension that file is going to be saved as, or you save that file with a particular extension. And once you have saved that file with that extension, the text editor automatically now knows that this is the type of file you are writing. It now knows that, oh, you're writing a CSS, JavaScript, PHP, Python file. And there are so many types of text editors out there. We have Visual Studio Code. We have Visual Studio Code. We have Atom. We have Notepad. Okay, these are all examples of text editors. Okay, so you write your codes using text editors and you save them as files based on the extension you give them. All right, the next thing you need as a web developer is a browser. Okay, so a browser is what interprets the code you have written. Just like what you're seeing here, this interface you're seeing here now on this screen is a web application, is a web page. I'm using Chrome as my browser. If you check here, you're going to see Chrome is active. So I'm using Chrome as my browser. So it is browsers that interpret your code, and then people can see that code as this beautiful thing you are looking at. And there are different types of browsers out there. We have Chrome. We have Chrome. We have Firefox. We have Firefox. We have UC browser. We have Safari, and so many more. You can make a long list of that. The next thing we're going to talk about is your server. Okay, remember what I said, that your web application can run on any network at all. Okay, as far as there is a network available or there is a network that has been set up, your web application can run, whether it's a local area network or a wide area network. Okay, so that is exactly why you need a server to run your web application. A web application serves plenty, like a lot of people. Okay, I use the instance of, let's say you're in the same room with your friend, okay, and you're building a web application and you want him to see what you're doing. Maybe you have a job you're doing for him. He wants an e-commerce website. Your friend wants an e-commerce website and you're building that web application for him. Okay, whenever you get to any milestone and you want to show him what you have done so far so good, because he's physically there with you, you can just maybe open your laptop and show him the project, show him what you've been able to achieve. But now let's say the difference is the situation is now different, and this your friend is not in the same building with you. Let's say that this your friend is in a building like next to your own. And how do you now show that your friend what you are doing without your friend being physically present with you? Okay, so let's now bring it into an office setting, and let's say your office block is like a stone throw away from your friend's office block. Okay, and let's say we have an intranet connection, a local area network connection. Okay, and that your friend's computer is connected to the network also, so that your friend can easily access what you have in your device because he's connected to the same network that you are connected to. So it will be easy for him to have access to it. Maybe you just share the URL of that resource. Okay, but now things get more twisted when that your friend has to travel. Okay, so your friend travels to, let's say, Lagos, Abuja, and you're in Port Harcourt, and your friend is in Abuja. And remember that the network you have is only a network between two buildings, that two blocks of buildings that are like a stone throw away. Now your friend is in Lagos, you're in Port Harcourt. That your friend can no longer access that resource, because where he is in Port Harcourt, he's not part of that network any longer. And for him to be part of that network, he will have to run the network to Lagos, so that he will be able to access. And you know how expensive it will be to run your network, whether it is a wired connection from Port Harcourt to Lagos, just to be able to see what is happening in your system. So that is where we now leverage like wide area networks like the internet. Okay, so with the internet, if you upload your resource, that upload is what we call web hosting. Excuse me. So that upload is what we call web hosting. Okay, so another assignment I'm going to give us is what is web hosting. Okay, so that upload is what we call web hosting. And web hosting is the process of uploading your web files or web application files to an online server. Okay, and the good thing about it is that you're leveraging on the internet. So even if the person is in the US, in the UK, in Germany, in a different country in Africa, okay, in Rwanda, anywhere, as far as the person has access to the internet, as far as the person has access to the internet, the person will be able to access that's your website or that's your resource. Okay, so that's where servers come in. Okay, as a web application developer, you have to, if you want your application to reach everybody in the world, you then have to host your files on an online server. Okay, so that when you share the link to people, or when you share your URL to people, or your domain name to people, people anywhere in the world can access that your resource or that your website as far as they have access to the internet. Very, very simple. All right, so I will also want us to do an assignment. I want us to research about data centers. What is a data center? So get all the information you can on data centers. These are the 3 assignments you're going to send to me today before your next class. Thank you. See you in our next video.